2DU breakfast, a part of your life.
Mayor Matthew Dickinson. Morning, Matt.
Good morning, Richard. How are you going this morning?
I'm good. We spoke with the CEO. We're going to call it now doing Murray Wood. He slipped over on some of the landslips. There you go.
Well, I haven't heard that story yet, so I'll have to find out more details from Murray.
He's okay, though. He's
okay. Good.
Riverbank robbed. Friday's downpour washed away parts of the Macquarie Riverbank. Double Regional Council closed section. Now, we know about the track of Riley. That's been closed off, yes?
Two parts of that, just down between Tamworth Street and Sandy Beach. So Track of Riley's still there. There's some bunting around two separate parts of it. I actually went down on Friday and had a chat to some of the guys there doing the work out in the rain and just seeing what they were doing. I mean, not that I was directing them. They were doing their job. I just wanted to come along and say thank you on behalf of the community. But, yeah, we did lose two parts of the riverbank there, not just from the rain that happened over the last few days. There's been a huge amount of water, we know, flowing down the river over the last month or more, and water coming out of the Burrendong Dam, a lot of water flow coming down there. As it goes around those two corners there, that puts a bit more stress on that riverbank on the outside of the river. And so we're going to have a look at what we're going to have to do there, Richard. There might need to be some rectification works there, might need to be some serious work done, because we don't want it to continually eat away into there. At the moment, it's getting closer and closer to Track of Riley. Obviously, safety is important there, so we've moved the bunting in there to keep people away from there. But how much further does it start to eat in there? And so we just need to make sure we've got some protection around there.
Okay, what about Stampede? Will that be affected at all?
Well, there's a few things with Stampede. I'm actually going to talk to the organisers today, because we've still got pedestrian bridges. The Shibble Bridge, for example, is used in the longer runs in Stampede. I've done the full marathon with the Stampede in years gone by, and going across the Shibble Bridge was one of the parts of that. I think that's also used in the half marathon. So there's a couple of parts there which we might need to just talk to Stampede organisers to see what might happen there. It's only 2 weeks away, or less than 2 weeks away. There's still a lot of rain forecast there, so we'll do everything we can to get the bridge, whatever bridges are needed, to be open for them. On the Track of Riley there, we're talking about, I think that part would be okay, because you just have to run around the bunting, so it might add an extra few metres, which mightn't be good if you're running a marathon. You don't want to be running any extra metres than you have to. But obviously, again, from those parts there, I think we'll be able to cope with that. But again, that's just council working in closely with the organisers.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is that we've had so much rain. How much more water can a full sponge hold, Matthew?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The water that's falling on the ground, it's just not being absorbed by the ground. It's just all running off now. So that's sometimes good for a farmer when they've got some water in the ground. They get a bit of runoff into their dams. But you're right, now there's so much water in the ground. Every bit of rain that falls is just running off. Yeah.
All right, so you'll be looking at that Track of Riley. I noticed there was a yellow sign that said Track of Riley was closed, no entry on the western side of Macquarie Street, travelling down Old Dubbo Road on Saturday. Noticed a yellow sign on a gate there leading into that part of it, that flood zone part of it.
Yeah, that's right. There's certain parts of it there, just from a safety perspective, we've closed off. And obviously the two pedestrian bridges, the Shibble Bridge and the Tamworth Street Bridge, are both closed off at the moment. So there's water still, amazingly, still up at those levels, basically at the either the level, or some days I've even seen it over those bridges there. But obviously you just got to make sure that it's safe for people, so we have closed those off. And the water seems to have come up faster in this flood event than previous years, so that's one of the things that we've just got to be careful of, is you don't want to get people get caught overnight, suddenly the water comes up. So we have been a bit cautious in closing those off.
Yeah, okay. Regan Park walkway, also used with caution?
Absolutely right. There's some parts of that are still, where the rivers come up, still very muddy. So I actually went down and had a look a few days ago, and you can walk along parts of it there, but some parts are still a bit muddy and slippery, so you've got to be very careful along there. Yeah. Again, we're talking about nature here. Nature doesn't really care too much about people, so it just does its thing.
She's not a team player, Matthew. She's not a team player.
Not at all. So we've just got to be making sure we're careful about things and just being sensible about things.
Okay, that's where you're putting the ovals, of course, on Regan Park, aren't you?
No, sorry, I missed the connection there. Just dropped out for a second. Richard, didn't hear what you said.
Also, the closure or the, if I could say, amended way of travelling Brisbane Street and Darling Street. That's the intersection you're making into a T-junction. Work starts today, and it's going to take months to complete, Matthew Dickinson.
Road works take an incredibly long period of time, and I've often talked to engineers because, you know, as Mark Colton often tells the joke that everyone was born a natural engineer, so everyone knows about engineering, forget about what the engineers learn at university. But I often talk to them about different methods of construction, and they usually laugh at me when I come up with some crazy ideas. I normally quote the cartoon Cars and Bessie, the greatest road-making machine ever, and they always say that I'm just crazy. But it does seem to take an incredible amount of time to construct roads properly. So I don't actually have an exact time frame on that particular project. We'll talk more about that as time goes on. But yeah, it does seem to take a long period of time.
All right. right. You launched Dream.
Dream. Look, Dream's something that I know you and I talked about way back when. Peter Bartley was a councillor way back around 2010. I think Peter started dreaming, excuse the bad pun, about the Dream Festival there. And, of course, it was this whole idea that we've got this great zoo that attracts people throughout the year. Other cities and other locations have got things like the Tamworth Festival or the Tamworth Country Music Festival or the Elvis Festival. And so it was really Peter's desire to have something in Dubbo that was a bit like that, a bit of a festival. And they put a committee together and worked on that. And they came up with a Dream, which really it stands for Dubbo Regional Entertainment, Arts and Music, or Dubbo Region Entertainment, Arts and Music. Yeah. There's often been dance involved with it. There's been different artistic adventures. It's really morphed every year. So 2012 it started, so it's in its 10th year. It's had a couple of years off, obviously, with the pandemic. That's not a good way to operate during a pandemic, trying to get big crowds of people together. But now I think this year will be huge because people are wanting to get back out and do things. So 16th of October, we've got Zoo Acoustic out at the zoo. Fong Lee's Lane is on the 21st of October. That's down in Wellington. And then the thing that really captured the imagination over the last few years of Dream is the Lantern Parade. So on the 22nd of October, mark that in your diary. That'll be the Dream Lantern Parade. So I think they're the main features at this stage. But the great thing about Dream is it can have lots of things involved. It can have extra things that come in. It can really morph into what people want. The New South Wales government's given us 30 grand. We've put in money as well. We've been putting in money in the last few years for Dream to really make sure it continues on.
You were putting, 10 a year or something, weren't you?
No. We got to the stage previously where we had about 40,000 a year we were putting in towards it.
Okay.
It obviously makes it better now with 30,000 a year from the state government. So essentially we've got a reasonable sum of money there now. And it's really now more or less been taken over by council. There were some volunteers running it as a volunteer committee and essentially had money coming from council to help them out there. But it got to the stage where that committee got a bit of burnout and it really just needed some different levels of management. So we've still got volunteers involved with it, but it's really being run now from council's perspective. So, and that probably helps us get some money out of that Destination New South Wales flagship event fund as well, that $30,000 they've committed for the next 3 years. So there's a whole range of things that I think are great. There's a new logo this year, a new concept of connect, celebrate and illuminate. So again, it's just one of those extra events in Dubbo. There's so many things happening in Dubbo on a constant basis.
Now, talking to Annie Field, who was the chair of the volunteer committee, she said it got to the stage when it was just too big and it was morphing into a giant spectacle that needed a bigger control, or at least into bigger hands and more hands, and that's why the council now has it.
Yeah, that's right. The same thing happened with Tamworth Country Music Festival. That's right. Started off with a few volunteers having a little dinner. Next thing you know, it grew and it got to the stage where it's a huge event now, and so Tamworth Council actually manages that whole event now. So
it's like the Elvis Presley Festival in Parks too. So.
That's right. So, look, again, I think that hopefully Dream does get as big as the Tamworth Country Music Festival. And again, I think Anne's right. Having those volunteers getting it going and having the passion for it's fantastic. Yep. But just having the staff time and the staff skill to manage that in conjunction with the volunteers makes sense. So, look, a great event. John Walcombe started off as the first chair after, I say, Peter Bartley pushed the process to get it all started. Anne Field's been involved from day dot as far as I can remember.
Yes, correct.
And she's been the recent chair of that as well. So lots of great community.
Walcombe wants it because he wants to make a lantern and get away with it.
Maybe. Who knows? But I think good community members have been involved over the years, and that's fantastic. We love to see those good, passionate community members out there making a difference in the community.
There you go. So that's underway, and that'll be starting 22nd of October. Did you say the Lantern Festival?
Yeah, 16th of October is the first event there that's set down. That's the Zoo Acoustic. That'll be from 1:30 to 4:30 out at the zoo. Then you've got Fong Lee's Lane on the 21st, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then you've got the Dream Lanterns, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., which goes along the lower Talbogar Street and ends up in Victoria Park. So, and that's on Saturday, the 22nd of October.
So if you want to be part of it, get it up there. And then, of course, we've got the Wellington In-Between Festival. We're getting to that side of the year too, aren't we, Matthew, where we're going to get a bit warmer and a bit better days to be out and about. A bit bleak at the minute.
And more events will be outside as well.
Yep. Okay, now as far as all the walkways, the Track O'Reilly, the Lady Cutler and Sandy Beach and the Regan Park walkway, just be careful. Is that right?
We still want people to use those paths. They're still fantastic for our community. But when you see that bunting, please just take notice of the bunting. Don't say, well, that bunting's not for me. I'll just jump over that or I'll go behind it. Just take notice of that. It's there for your safety because we just don't know the stability of those riverbanks at the moment. We haven't had time to actually investigate those further.
And you don't want to do a Murray Wood.
I don't want to do a Murray Wood, no. I need to find out more details. I'll go and talk to him now.
Enjoy your day, Matthew Dickinson. We will talk in due course. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Richard.